Welcome back to Sportsmanlike Conduct Podcast. I'm your host, Cassius Clee, and we are back in the studios of Industry City, Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn. Today we got a special show. We want to introduce my man Skids in the building. How you doing, brother?
Yo. I'm all good, man. Blessed.
Yo, I'm here, man.
How's everything?
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We have a special guest today, clinical psychologist, Dr. Ernest Bonaparte. He is the founder of Brooklyn Total Wellness, and he's here to discuss mental health and how it relates to men specifically. Before we get into that, we have to talk about you being an Eagle fan.
Sorry to hear that, brother.
We have the NFC East up on this desk right here.
Oh, that is true.
We got the Giants.
Absolutely.
Giants over there.
Absolutely.
Two Cowboys in the middle and an Eagle fan.
I told him I'm worse than a Giant fan.
Oh, here we go. Oh, boy.
To the Cowboys.
Well, good. I don't like none of you guys, man.
Yeah, there was real quick on a sidebar. There was a question today, like, what team do you hate the most in your division?
Yeah, I did hear that.
I get for me, it's just no question. It's the Giants. There's no.
Oh, okay.
I can't even. Even when Giants are terrible, I still root for them to be worse.
Wow.
Dang.
I understand the jealousy, man. But
Listen, call it what it is.
Eagles don't bother me like the Giants do. I can't lie about that.
That's interesting to hear. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've evolved. I used to have a lot of hatred for both the Giants and the Cowboys, mostly the Cowboys. But in recent years, it's just, partially because, they ain't doing too much.
Wow.
So I'm not I don't have no reason to be mad at them. Plus, as I've matured.
Here we go.
I'm not into
until the games begin, right?
I'm not your typical Eagle fan. I'm good natured and I get it.
You guys went to a lot of Super Bowls, though. Quite a few Super Bowls you went to.
I don't think so.
You made some appearances. So we brought you here today. Discuss a serious topic, right? Men needing help, needing to speak with someone. One of the questions I have for you is, as far as therapy, right? How does a person go about finding a therapist?
Right, couple of ways. Because first, you must think about cost, right? So, assuming that an individual has a medical insurance that covers mental health, you can go through your plan, your insurance plan. There's a directory for all providers in mental health, so you could do that through your insurance. And I think, in my experience right now, because I see mostly clients who are insurance based, so that is the easiest, quickest way, and that'll provide you with actual names and locations, because most people are actually looking for someone who's closer to them in proximity as far as geographically. So that's one way. But I would also say, and I think this is something that we as a people, males and females, can ask each other and find out from each other. So as mental health has become much more mainstream, much more acceptable, then you will find friends and acquaintances and relatives who have either been involved in mental health treatment or are aware of it and are aware of practitioners in your area. So that's another method. In other words, the word of mouth model works well, much better than it did years ago when there was more of a taboo in it. So insurance, word of mouth, of course, going online. This is simple as that. Just like you find out anything else.
What's that? ZocDoc is.
There's any number of different. Mental health is, make no mistake, it is an industry now. Thank goodness we provide a great service, but it is in many ways first and foremost an industry. It's a business. So there are many different sites that one can go to. You can get a mental health professional through a ZocDoc. You can get it through the text model,
Why
Right.
don't you explain to the people who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it? Just give a brief introduction of who you are.
Okay. Clinical psychologist, licensed New York State psychologist for 32 years, and arrived here to attend graduate school. I'm from Philadelphia, and arrived here after doing my undergraduate work, and knew that I wanted to be a psychologist from college. So it was just a matter of time before I chose the graduate school that I attended, which was Adelphi University in Long Island. So that's what brought me to New York. And then following my training and internship, went on to get a job, right? And met my wife and develop a life here in New York City. So the rest is history. I landed in New York 40 years ago.
Wow.
1984 is when I started graduate school.
Our co-host Rudy went to Adelphi on
Who's that?
on the basketball scholarship.
Who?
One of our.
One of our
He's not
co-hosts.
here today.
He's not
Oh,
here today.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Shout out to Rudeness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good,
cool.
it's a good school. Yeah. So always had that passion, that sense of myself as wanting to help others, be a good listener, and felt that it was a good profession for me. And then learned over the course of time what some of the real skills were that would make one a good practitioner. So that's what brought me here. And yeah, I think that's it's from internship. I did a lot of community mental health work, meaning that I worked in hospitals, clinics, did some administrative work and supervisory work in the field as an employee, and then didn't really. At that time, I began a part-time private practice, and then gradually moved toward the full-time. At this point, I'm full-time private practice, and I also teach for CUNY at Queens College. But that didn't develop until maybe it developed about 15 years ago. Full-time private practice, and then started
Educator.
teaching at Queens College about 9 years ago.
Wow.
But prior to that, it was a lot of work in the field, a lot of work in the trenches. You name it, Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, mental health, New Hope Guild, Kings County, Interfaith.
Oh, what was that? G
all
Building
those.
in Kings County?
G
they used to
Building,
call
G
it?
Building. That's where I cut my teeth. In the G Building.
Nice.
Yeah.
How is Brooklyn Total Wellness going?
It's going well. It's going well. It's more than anything else, Cleon. It is a title that describes what I have evolved to believe in
Okay.
terms of how to most effectively help people, and that being the concept of total wellness, mind, which I'm trained in, okay, psychology, mental health, psychotherapy. That's the mind. But then after about 10 years of work as a mental health professional, I learned that the body and the spirit, those three components are valuable and necessary, that I couldn't really help people. And I thought I was good. I learned my craft well as a student, then started out, did pretty well as a beginner. But after about 10, 12 years, I realized that I could do more because there are other dimensions to people's lives. I'm hearing people in my psychotherapy practice talk about their lives. A lot of what they were going through was connected to how they took care of themselves physically, right, nutritionally, et cetera, and also their spiritual life, whatever that means to them. That could be anything, but it refers to what a person is passionate about, what a person believes in, what a person's values are. So all those things need to be taken into account. I feel as a psychotherapist, if I'm going to optimally work with somebody and help them to the best of their ability.
No, you helped me immensely, right? My mom's passed away. We had a couple sessions together. things you told me that definitely helped me. I know the benefits of what you provided for me, but what are some benefits for specifically men when it comes to therapy?
Okay. Multiple benefits, I would say, similar to anyone, men and women. The benefit primarily of having someone, and that do not underestimate this, finding the right person, right, to work with. So the benefit in that involves a relationship that you have with someone who listens to you, who hears you, who can understand you, right, and who treats you well. Because oftentimes in our lives that's part of what the challenges are. We struggle in relationships. We struggle with being understood.
Yeah.
Right. And so a
good
good psychotherapist, good mental health professional is one who is kind, who listens well, who is empathic, who can really put themselves as best as they can, put themselves in your shoes and give you a sense that, oh, okay, he or she gets it.
Right.
So for men, he gets it, or she, if it's a female therapist, they get me. They understand what I go through.
Underline
as a
that
man.
word, understood.
Yeah. Oh,
think
yeah.
that's
That's
what-
huge.
I think that's the goal for any common person, just to be understood, just to understand where I'm coming from. But
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
key one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Men often, and I don't think it's specific to men, but we're talking about men now, but men are generally, oftentimes stereotyped and sort of painted with a certain brush.
Very true.
Put into, okay, men are from Mars. Let me just start with that, which means, men are more, are less connected to their emotions. Men just want to make things happen and do things and in a good way, to support people. They want to fix things. They just
Yeah.
want to think, and it's cognitive. It comes from a place of using their mind, using their head, as opposed to their heart. The heart that's secondary.
Right.
Let's just take care of this. Let's do this. So men come from a place of not necessarily connecting with their emotions or with the emotions of the people in their lives. So, and that's a positive in a way. It's that one of the more positive things. If we go more toward the negative, men are cavemen. They're Neanderthals. They are all about, being physical, being powerful, being macho. They don't really get it. Beyond that, that's their priority, is to be a man. So a man means one very specific thing. So
Yeah.
we're painted with that brush quite often, and it really robs us of being understood as total human beings with all kinds of different components and
Totally agree.
sides to us.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And some of these sides we're not allowed to express. I shouldn't say allowed, but we're
Frowned upon.
yeah, that too. We're not given the freedom to express those things because we'll be looked at as weak or soft is another word, but we're just human beings with emotions, right? And to not be able to express those in a real way, I think is hindering a lot of men. I have a quick story that Q told me, right? A friend of mine, right? He's in a space with a gentleman. There's some staring going on. There's a lot of posturing, right? So my friend Q was looking at the guy. The guy's looking at him. It's getting kind of awkward. So Q's like, yo, like, what's up? And he's getting more angry. So Q, the story he told me, he said he could see past all that posturing, and he asks the young man, like, yo, what is up? And with the matter of seconds, he starts crying and starts telling Q, like, what's bothering him.
Wow.
So it's those kind of simple things that,
Yeah,
a
somebody
lot
just
of us
cared.
walk around with this pent up anger or whatever you're feeling that you can't let out, you can't express it. like I'm blessed, right? I have large family. I have great friends. I have a lot of people around me I could talk to. My dad is one of my biggest guys that I could just call up, talk to. My mom's was. I'm good, right? At least I think. But there's other things in my life that I carry with me that I can't really show because society just has me like boxed in. Like, should I do that? They're gonna think I'm soft. Should I say that? They're gonna think I'm weird. Should I react that way? They're gonna think they could walk all over me. So it's a lot of those things. But I just told that story because I see that a lot. I see that. I look at men and I go, yo, he's hurting, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell. Mm-hmm. He's hurting. So the word hurt is very, is very, is related to us.
Right. So it's about acknowledging being hurt and being afraid. Right. That's the first step. Is us acknowledging that then allows us to move toward expressing it. Because what you said about we're not allowed, society doesn't do it. That's all true. But so what? Society, we don't allow it. At the end of the day, that's on us.
Correct.
It ain't on it really ain't on society. I mean, we get that. We've been through this. We're a people in general. We're a people that knows the deal, knows what we're up against.
Yeah.
And so, the question is, what are we going to do about it? How do we manage it? So yeah. In that sense, Cleon, to acknowledge that you are fearful, that you are hurting, and be able to say that no matter what, and then move from there.
Yeah, as you think about that word, right? Men don't usually go to anyone and say, "I'm hurting," right?
Right.
We don't use such
unless they get
such vocabulary, right?
Unless they blew out the ACL.
Right, exactly. Hurting is a physical. Yeah, exactly. Like you sprain your ankle.
Yeah.
But you would never go to your wife, your girl, your homeboy, be like, "Yo, I'm hurting." It's just not that. It's not a word we use, but that is an accurate statement. You are hurting.
Right.
You're not well mentally. You're not well. But Skid, who's next? Oh, you have some questions?
Skid.
Yeah, Skid.
Well, first, Dr. Bonaparte, I want to say thank you for being relatable, easy to talk to, and I feel like I know you for like 10 years.
Oh.
Despite you being an Eagle fan, but But my question to you would be, what should a man consider when seeking therapy?
Okay, and I'll repeat what I said initially. Consider who they connect with. Consider the person who they choose. We do have a choice. You're not subject to whomever it would be assigned to you, or the first person that you find. So that's the first step is ascertaining and finding a person who you believe you would be comfortable with. And if that means, for example, you would be more comfortable, or you believe you would be more comfortable with a black male, let's say, then that's what you look for. That's what you find. Not easy necessarily, but that's what you
very true.
Initially would go for and seek out. And that's not to say that a black male should only be treated by a black male. It's many different combinations can work. But if it's your preference, because the first step is level of comfort.
Okay.
And getting your foot in the door. A lot of people, I'm considering this, but I don't know about this. So why would they pick somebody who's foreign to them, when they're already struggling with the choice of getting their foot in the door? So that would be the first level of it, is someone choosing someone. And you can do that through, I think the best way is through friends, family, and colleagues, people that you know who can recommend. Oh yes, I know a person who has a reputation for working with folks like us, and so forth. And so do some research on finding a person who you believe would fit well with you. So that's the first step. And then once your foot is in the door, so to speak, then you want to be very open, very clear about what you're looking for once you start seeing someone. That's what we do, because the best of us, the best therapists, are those who consider the client's needs first. So I want to hear what you. So your mother recently passed away. Okay, I understand. I get it. What's that mean to you? What has that done to you? So not to assume that your mother passing away is the same experience for you
someone else.
that I had when my mother passed away.
Correct.
I want to be very specific about what. So what did that mean to you? What are you going through around this? So that would be the next level of it. And once you start the conversation, are they listening? Are they really going for you? What you are going through, right? Or are they just thinking, well, okay, his parent passed away. Here's the formula. Here's the cookbook. Okay, grief therapy. No. What's that mean for you? And let's talk. And how can I help you with this? How do you want me to help me? So as the client, you want to be free to say, here's what I need.
Right.
As
So
opposed to-
it'd be very vital for that for the individual to have a willingness to be open and honest with what they're going through, so they could get that specific void filled within them.
Right. And to just say it. And even if they have trouble initially being open and honest, I mean, that's fine. Because other people it takes time. I understand that you don't just come in and just spill your guts.
Right.
But to be able to say, here's what I believe I need from you. That's enough. That's good enough for me. And we take it from there.
Okay. Wow. That's wow. That's that kind of hit. Because rarely you see a man who's really open and verbal about their situation. But speaking of men in general, notice that there's a stigma for men who's either attending or seeking counseling. Now, in all your years and expertise, why do you think that's so?
A societal norms and societal beliefs. And interesting, you say over all my years, because it has changed over all my years. When I first started out, yes, the stigma was much more powerful, much stronger. In that, and a lot of it comes from cultural beliefs that we manage our challenges and difficulties and problems through the family, primarily through the culture.
Yes.
We don't really talk about that stuff. And when we do need to deal with it. We have ways culturally to manage it. To talk to an outsider, meaning somebody not from our family.
Yeah, it's
They won't understand.
That's-
You feel they won't understand. You assume
right.
that they
Correct.
won't understand.
Right. So that's the long-term stigma that has slowly, but gradually and surely changed over time.
it's great.
So that because of some of the things that are happening in the world, I mean, you guys have been around for a while, so you see what just using Western culture or American culture, the changes in society that have happened, the things that people are going through, man. And so it's much easier in 2024 for people to acknowledge, no matter what culture they come from, to acknowledge I need help. I got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I mean, again, I'm licensed 32 years. So when I first got out of school 32 years ago, this wasn't the case.
Is it the age of people? Like, you say 20 years ago, nobody was really doing it. So now those people that should have been seeking it 20 years ago, then 20 years forward, are they seeking now? Is it an age thing or?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I don't think it's necessarily specific to age. I think all ages are moving towards seeking it, frankly. Yeah, all ages. The older, the baby boomers may be less inclined, but I don't quote me on that, because there's a lot of seniors.
Not too late, we're quoting you.
You think of what's going on now with seniors, and baby boomers are a huge population. So some of the things that are occurring with them, and some of them normal developmental aging things like health concerns,
Mortality.
death of a spouse, so loneliness, retirement.
Yeah.
These are things that have always been around. These are things that have always been the case. But if you add on the fact that society in general, when they were younger, it was just it wasn't as crazy as it is now. At least in there, I'm speaking for them. I should say us because I'm a baby boomer myself. But yeah, so all ages I think have become more enlightened.
So you see more.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Bonaparte, you expounded on a lot of things, and you gave some very clear prerequisites and that are mainstays in a person's looking for or considering therapy. But unfortunately, we know there's a lot of intangibles that exist in not just our culture, but many culture, but primarily when it deals with men. So in your expertise, what would you advise a man to do who may not be ready for counseling, maybe due to certain insecurities,
Right.
or maybe some flaws, and let's say, what can they do that can help prevent or curb like the buildup of certain like frustrations, anger, doubt, or any of those things that can ultimately result in bad behavior?
Right. I'll say two things that come immediately to mind. One is, say this one first. One is to seek out other men. Okay, so you're not ready to enter into a therapy situation, to seeking out professional help, but seek out other men. I think I can't underscore enough how valuable men are to men.
That's a great point.
And it doesn't get, it's underrated how valuable that can be. So
Interesting.
and so a man, and again, a man can be closed off not just to women or society or white folk, whoever, that they can have a hard time relating to other men too. So those men I would encourage to push themselves. But men who may not have an issue with that, hey, look to your friends, talk to your guys, your boys, and those who you feel comfortable with. Okay, you don't feel comfortable with most people, but you got a buddy, a couple buddies. You're involved in a club or group or fraternity or on your job, whatever the case may be, to seek out other men. That's one. And then two is to take care of yourself, to turn your attention toward your own overall health, to make sure you
Like dieting, working out, things that exert.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think
that's very important.
Yeah.
And my last question, okay, for the many men that'll be listening and watching, who's actually thinking about it and say, you know what, I might try counseling. What are some of the things they should expect?
Well, they should expect that the individual they end up choosing has their best interests at heart. They should expect a good listener. They should expect to be challenged.
Uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Can you expound a little bit on the challenge? What do you mean by that?
That if you come in, as I mentioned earlier, it's important as a therapist, right? As the doctor, to hear from the individual what they're looking for, what they want, what they value, what's your goal, what do you aspire to in your life, and of course we know what problems are you trying to deal with, to transcend. So with all of that said, then once you as the therapist get a sense of that and develop a relationship, then you can begin to challenge
I
maybe
see.
as the conversations develop over time. And it's not going to happen day one. Give it some time. Wait, get
there's
some trust.
There's some trust.
Develop
Got
some
you.
trust.
Got you.
Right, and then comes the challenge. Well, we talked about this. You said that you were having difficulty with your wife or in your relationship because of XYZ, and you still doing the same thing yourself, complaining about her. It's just as an example. I'm making that up.
You're talking about Tim Ryan. I know that guy. I know that guy you're talking about.
Yeah. Or
Doc,
any other career. You're unsatisfied with your career, but what are you doing really to move that forward, to make some changes and take some chances, make some risks. So a lot of people, men and everybody, there's fear. I believe that fear is the most powerful of the human emotions. So it can stop you from a lot of things that you may want to aspire to or you may want to accomplish. So there comes the challenge again.
I got
you. Talk to me about what you're afraid of, and how can we push you through that?
I think the biggest fear is just being wrong. Being wrong. Not so much of failure, but nobody wants to be wrong, it seems like. I don't know. Nobody
Especially
wants
as a
to be
man.
wrong. Yeah, nobody wants to be wrong. Like I've been apologizing all my life, it seems.
Okay.
Because sometimes I could acknowledge that I'm wrong, but sometimes my actions don't even dictate that I actually was wrong. It's just verbiage now.
Right.
There's nothing changing.
Right.
But let me ask you this. Is there something in a person's life that you personally would see that would try to make you know what, that young person or that old person, that person there should seek counseling? Is there something in particular, like even success? I feel some people should get counseling. Everybody thinks you get counseling for failures or for.
That's a good point. Oh,
But you know, how do you handle success? How do you handle, like, if I went to your therapy and you made me a better person? Now, how do I handle that?
Yeah. Okay. Any and everything. The answer to your question is you said, what do you look for?
Yeah.
Right. Any and everything. I'm a believer that therapy, all of us should and can benefit from it at some point or other in our lives. I'm a big believer in it. Also a believer that you don't necessarily go indefinitely and forever and ever and ever in therapy.
Yeah.
But at some point, depending on the challenge and what you're struggling with, then absolutely. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could, as you mentioned, OJ, it could be a matter of success or climbing up the ladder. I have a young lady who I've seen since she was a high school student here in Brooklyn. And she ended up going to a very good college and graduated from that college, and then now lives out on the West Coast. Very, very good job. It's a great job. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle. She's in the corporate world that is very competitive, very demanding of her. She's 23. She just turned 24 years old, actually.
Wow.
And so in her case, that's your example of really a successful life or a successful start to her life. But that comes with its downsides. Let alone she don't have a life. She don't have a personal or social life. Looking for a relationship and so forth, because the job is so demanding. And to her credit, because you have to put yourself into your work for somebody like her, and I understand that. But let's talk about balance here.
Right.
So in addition to success, balance. So that would be another area that I think is real important for people to embrace. That keep your life well balanced, work and play, mind, body, spirit.
yeah.
Try to keep it all together and keep it well regulated.
With the people you converse with, just not necessarily the people you know, but just someone that you see. Can you, it kind of piggyback off the same question I asked, but can you see something in has it ever happened to you that you just see something that somebody's saying or doing, posture or whatever, that you just go like,
That person needs help.
yeah, that person needs help. And so if you feel that way, what do you do about it? You personally, or what can we as men, if I know you said, reach out to each other, but it's not that easy to just open up or to even tell somebody that, you should go talk to somebody.
What you mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole
Right. No, I like that. That's a good question. So you would start with yourself in that instance. So because you use me for example. So as you were saying that, I'm thinking, being who I am and always having this person from when I was a kid, was in the hood. It was grew up in not the hood like today's hood. It was a good neighborhood, but we didn't have, we only had but so much.
Right.
But families were good. They watched out for you.
Yeah, everybody
that sort of
was a
thing.
family.
But obviously there was trouble afoot here and there. And so I turned out to be the kid. So I chose to avoid difficulty, like getting it. I didn't fight because it was fight. There was gangs and gang wars and so forth. So I managed to stay on the outside of that. And then over time, and I'm talking young. By the time I was a young teenager, the guys, like tough guys, would come and talk to me about things that were going on with it. And I'm thinking, this was me? Because I was cool. I didn't mess with nobody. I just stayed in the background. I played ball. Helping being a ball player, an athlete helps.
Yeah.
That gives you a certain swag in and of itself. So that helped. But no, I found that people came and spoke with me. So I learned I didn't think of it this way at that time, but I have a little gift here, that someone's coming to me and sharing what they're going through, and I can be supportive in whatever way I think or I know how in the moment. So to answer your question, if in lieu of you need to go get help, how can I help you? I mean, whether it be just listening, whether it be depending on your relationship with the person, OJ, you'd be a little bit more challenging. Well, wait a minute, man, you're telling me this, and what about this side of it? And then you do that yourself. You provide the support, right? So when you hear that and you recognize that, they need some help, then this is a human being, a fellow brother. Or fellow, you go to your repertoire, your personal repertoire of support and empathy and understanding. You don't have to reinvent the wheel or make magic. Just to listen to them and to.
So we don't talk about them behind their back to other people.
Scott.
No,
that's important too. No, that's important too.
Oh yeah, we do.
No, you let them know. That's actually an important element that they get the sense that your conversation is confidential and that you, above all, you'll keep it between us. Right. Right. So, so you would start with yourself. You don't have to say, and I wouldn't recommend that you just like that say, well, you need to go get help. Although nowadays it's easier to say. It's
help, man.
Yeah. It's way easier to do nowadays, to be honest with you, to say, hey, why don't you go check out this? You can go find somebody to talk to. It's easier now than it used to be, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that right away. You use yourself. Yeah. When you hear.
But I can't tell somebody to go get help if I'm not in therapy. Go get therapy, and I'm not in therapy.
So you be like, you get help.
Well,
Yeah.
Tell me to get help.
Who are you talking to?
You get help.
Say you can help.
Trauma. How do we recognize trauma amongst each other? I mean, we know the obvious trauma of, losing someone or getting hurt, shot, or stuff like that. But internal trauma. How do I know that someone is dealing with a certain trauma that's not necessarily physical?
All right.
How do we pinpoint
Yeah.
certain traumas?
You can't. It's hard. I can't even pinpoint trauma. Somebody comes to me as a client, and I would have to hear their story to fully understand the nature of the trauma. So that question, I would not I would not concern myself in my personal life with pinpointing what their trauma is. Just listen for the struggle. You'll hear it. A lot of times it will
It'll
present
display,
itself
yeah.
pretty clearly. But if you don't get it, that's okay. Because trauma, like you said, trauma is internal, and you will be surprised who's experiencing trauma. And you're like, they don't necessarily have to be people who are struggling and who are having issues. So it's hard. So my answer to the question is it's hard to pinpoint.
It's
And I
not as
wouldn't
simple
I
as-
wouldn't concern myself. I mean, if somebody comes to me, I'm not going to be able to pinpoint their trauma in the first session. They got to tell me.
I think that word too is it's like a catchphrase now. Everybody's throwing around that word, trauma. You know what I mean?
They're throwing it
Like,
around
oh,
because it's part of life. We all carry
everyone,
trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
It's not-
exactly correct.
Yeah.
My trauma is different from your trauma, from his trauma, but whatever that trauma is, we're all feeling it. We're all carrying it. We're all. It's all affecting us. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Affects
scarred.
our behavior. Yeah, you could say, "Oh, this guy's going through trauma." But like, yeah, so are you. But you probably don't recognize yours. Or
Right.
you haven't dealt with yours.
Yeah, and it gets back to what we said earlier about hurt, about men acknowledging hurt, that trauma, injuries, these things are very common.
Yeah.
Something that we all experience and we all are carrying. And so to be able to acknowledge it, see, that's the first step, as opposed to having somebody, your friend, try to figure out, well, what's the nature, what's happening, and what's their internal trauma. No, that's a fool's errand.
Yeah,
Let
no
them
doubt.
just be with them, listen, and if they ultimately, if the relationship is close enough or they're inclined to share, it'll come out. And
Yeah.
the same thing happens in therapy with a mental health professional.
You'll recognize patterns or change in behavior, something like that. You know. I remember we had a session. Like we said earlier, you challenged me, right? I was gonna hang up the phone on you, but I'm telling you, made me very angry, man. Because here I thought I was pouring my heart out. I was telling you how I was feeling, and you said, "Yo, that's your fault.
All right.
You did that. You could have changed that." And I was like, "Damn." You're supposed to be on my side, Doc. But after the session, you get it. You have to be challenged. It cannot be
Side with
everything I say. You go,
say.
"Yeah, I know, Cleon. You're a great guy. Everything is good, bro."
It's everybody
I know.
else, not you.
It's right. So that challenging part really resonated with me because whether you're talking to your parents, my father does that. My father challenges me a lot.
Okay.
My mother was the one that spoiled me. I could do no wrong. I could open up a brothel and my mother would be like, "Did you decorate it?"
You need me to cook for you?
Yeah, exactly. My pops challenged me a lot throughout my whole life. No matter what I did, he'll give me, he'll give me praise, but in the same sentence, he'll be like, "Yeah, but, that happened because you let it happen."
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, we call it reframing from the point of view of the person, you in this case, the client, reframing the statement of that was your fault.
Yeah.
So that was your fault means I'm telling you that was your fault because I'm on your side.
Right.
You see. But initially, the feeling is, well, I thought you was on my side, but no, I'm.
I thought I had you, Doc, man.
Yeah. No,
I was like, I got him. He was like, "Nah, that's you.
Yeah.
That's you. You said that's your fault. You let that happen." And I was like, "Yes, I sure did."
Yeah, it leans toward that concept of self-love.
Yeah.
That in order to you gotta be direct and honest with people.
You gotta listen, man. You can't. Everything cannot be everybody
peaches and
else's
cream.
fault.
Right.
Everything
Right.
can't be everybody else's fault. So
But that statement again, the statement means I'm on your side. I'm telling you this. 'Cause I'm on your side.
yeah. See, I got you.
Sportsmanlike conduct.